Hi there, it's Beauty Junkie. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to get into the best anti-aging skincare product out there, and that is sunscreen. We're going to talk about all types of sunscreen. We're going to focus on certain categories including face sunscreen, body sunscreen, and makeup with sunscreen in it. And I'm also going to talk about ways to remove sunscreen. I love this category personally because I feel like I used to never apply sunscreen when I was younger, in my early 20s, most of my 20s. I would apply it, you know, when I knew I was going to be outside or at the beach, but I wasn't really applying it daily like I do now. I feel like applying it daily really makes a big difference, especially with keeping my skin tone even. It helps with hyperpigmentation, and now especially that I'm using acids regularly in my routine, it's super important that I wear sunscreen every single day, even on a cloudy day, even if I'm just gonna be indoors but I'm near a window. Especially now that summer's coming, we're probably gonna be hanging out outdoors a lot more, and that means more time in the sun. So I think it's a good time to talk about sunscreen. So let's get into face sunscreens first. And I mostly use chemical sunscreens. So that basically means they work by absorbing the UV rays into the skin and then transforming those UV rays and releasing them as heat. So it absorbs them and releases it as heat. Whereas mineral sunscreens are also known as physical sunscreens. They essentially block the sunscreen by reflecting the rays. Like they reflect them and bounce them off of the skin, so there's no real absorption of the sun or anything like that. So they just work differently. I think if you pull out the sunscreens in your collection of sunscreens, you may have a mix of physical and chemical. I mean, there's a range of all kinds out there. Your physical sunscreens are probably going to be, most of the time, your reef safe sunscreens. You can use them while swimming in the ocean, in lakes, rivers. They're not going to harm the environment, supposedly. I don't really know. And then the chemical sunscreens, they say, isn't as safe to use in the water, just from an environmental perspective. So there's a lot of debates on which one's better for you. Some people don't like the fact that chemical sunscreens get absorbed into the skin, possibly into the bloodstream. They're worried about sort of those toxins being in your body and what can happen from that. I'm not exactly sure. I know there's been studies done. So some people sort of refuse to use chemical sunscreens because of that. I'm not sure if physical sunscreens do not absorb anything into the skin at all. I'd be surprised if nothing absorbs into the skin, but that's what people say. I would do my research to figure out what you want to do in terms of sunscreen. I would look at scientific articles. There's been research done. I think both are generally considered safe, but it is something to think about. I use chemical sunscreens. Hopefully I live to still live a long time. So for as far as facial sunscreens go, I have been using mostly KBeauty and Japanese brands because I really like their formulations and the texture of the sunscreens. I just can't find as many comparable textures from US based companies. I know that we've come a little bit of a way in terms of the American company formulations. They've gotten better, but typically, especially physical sunscreens, they tend to be really thick and white, and they give you a white cast. They can be sometimes really difficult to blend in, and you just have a really white face and white body after applying them. And you feel sticky, they smell bad, all of that. That's what I don't love about sunscreen. I know that some American companies are trying their best to come up with new formulations, but because of FDA restrictions, it's really hard to get new types of sunscreen approved. Whereas the Asian beauty market, their restrictions are not the same as ours, so there's a lot more flexibility in providing UV protection. That doesn't mean that what I'm about to show you isn't safe. They just do things a bit differently, and I think it's for the better. So this brand I'll show you, I have a few products from this brand. This is from Apieu, A-P-I-E-U, and I've bought this specific sunscreen several times. I have a backup ready to go. And what I like about it, for one, is it has a large size for a facial sunscreen, especially Asian beauty sunscreens. They like to give things in little tiny packages, especially if it's just for the face. But this is 100 milliliters and it provides, this is the daily sunscreen. This is SPF 45 PA 3+. It's a soft creamy texture. It provides sun protection while giving a fresh feeling without stickiness. It contains berry blossom complex, aloe, and watermelon fruit extract. This doesn't claim to have UVA and UVB protection like some of the other sunscreens out there. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's kind of a labeling thing. I know that a lot of American sunscreens used to have this PA rating on there, and now I don't really see that anymore. Not really sure why that is. Asian beauty sunscreens like this one do talk about UVA and UVB protection, so I just think it depends on the packaging. I've had pretty good luck with this. I don't burn on a normal day with this. Normal day meaning a regular amount of sun exposure, not like a heavy sun exposure day, but just doing normal activities, going to work, running errands, stuff like that. I think this one works well. I will note that this is scented. I don't believe it contains alcohol. I looked at the ingredients, but some of these Asian beauty formulations do contain alcohol because they're supposed to, it helps with making things dry down really quickly and matte. But this one is a creamier formulation, but it blends in really nicely. It doesn't leave a white cast on me, but I can't speak to other skin tones. But it just blends in really nicely. It smells really good. And I don't have any irritation with this one, and it goes well underneath makeup, foundation. I don't really experience pilling with it. If I do experience pilling with any of these sunscreens I'm about to show you, it's probably because I put too many things on my face too quickly and I didn't let things dry in between. I haven't had too many cases where my makeup has caused it to pill. Pilling is kind of a trial and error process, but none of these, I haven't tried these before. We'll see if they pill, but I know that I haven't had an issue with these. So I really like this one. I use it quite a bit. Yes, I would recommend it. There's another version of this. This is the Aqua Sun Gel, slightly different. This one has alcohol in it. It's still SPF, so this one has slightly higher rating. It's SPF 50 and it's a PA with 3+. And it has a moist texture, and it says it has 65% moisturizing ingredients to help with dry skin. And this one's like half the size. And I'll just show you the texture on this one. It's slightly like runnier and just kind of more liquidy, but I think it blends out nice. It's just a little more, I guess, watery and lightweight than the sun cream. So this is the sun gel. I think it's a nice consistency. There's a very popular Aqua Rich Biore one. This reminds, sun gel, and this reminds me of that one. Just so you know, with packaging, I don't know why, but they change packaging every year and they change formulations every year, unfortunately. I've used this last year and this year and I think the year before that, and I haven't really noticed a change in formula in this one. If they make changes, usually they're slight. Some people really hate new changes, I get that, but just kind of be aware, kind of in this new Asian beauty realm, for a lot of people that packaging will change from year to year, and you might be confused, like, what am I buying now? This isn't the same, even though it says it's the same thing, like the same title, but it looks different. I'm gonna link some websites where you can find this kind of stuff. I would really pay attention to ingredients besides the active sunscreen ingredients to determine, okay, how well is this going to react with my skin, especially if it includes alcohol, fragrance, or anything you know to be irritating to your skin. The good thing about most of these sunscreens, they're usually $20 or less. I like to buy the ones that are less than $20 for sure, because you aren't always getting a whole lot of product. And worst case scenario, let's say though you try out the formula, it doesn't work out for you, I would give it to a friend. I would share it. I'm not really sure the return policy on all of these websites, if it's really that easy to return stuff that doesn't work out for you or makes you break out or you have a rash. It can really differ, so check out the return policy when you're trying out stuff like this. Here is another large sunscreen option. This says aloe up here. It says Soothing Essence. And this is a waterproof sun gel. This is for face and body. This is 50 plus. And this is a PA 4+. And this is from the brand Holika Holika. 100 milliliters, it lasts 12 months. This contains aloe vera leaf extract from juju and protects the skin from UVA and UVB. I know there is some fragrance in here. It smells really good. It's like cucumber, like spa kind of scent. I don't see alcohol to be high up on the list. A lot of different fruit extracts. Really nice. It spreads really easy and it's very watery and liquidy. I'm gonna go show you, and you'll notice it looks like a little bit of a different color, and you'll see when I spread it out how watery it turns and very shiny, so you get that shine on it, and it spreads out really nice. It smells, as I said, like cucumber, and it almost does feel like aloe vera, but it's a sunscreen. I mean, you don't get this texture with your standard American formulation. I really like it. I think this is perfect for a regular day out, doing errands, going to work, sort of your normal sun exposure, driving in the car. And the reason I say like normal exposure is because, you know, if you're not, you should be layering these every 2 hours, but if you're not, probably a thicker formulation is going to last you a bit longer, even though it's not as pleasant to apply. So while these are really nice and pleasant, you might just feel an additional layer of security if you have a thicker formulation on your skin, especially on a heavy sun exposure day. But I really like this one. This is a good option, especially if you want to apply it on your arms, your neck, wherever else you're exposed besides your face. It works for the body too. Of course, you could use any of these on your body. They're just, you know, creamier. There's not a lot of product in at least this one. And, you know, your body usually isn't as sensitive to, you know, reacting. You're not gonna usually break out unless very specific areas of your body, but most of your body isn't gonna break out from a sunscreen. So you don't need as sophisticated formulations all over your body. This one you certainly could. It's waterproof. The next one I want to talk about is another sun gel. This is also from a Pew. This is the Power Block SPF 50. This is a PA 4+. I don't have a ton of information on this one as far as ingredients go because it's not in English on the packaging. I just wanted to try a different one, see what the texture's like. I have no idea if there's alcohol in here. Just want to show you different textures and what they look like. Hi there, editing me. I just realized that both of the Appews, the blue ones that I'm showing you, they have very similar names. So the first one was the Pure Block Aqua Sun Gel, and then the white packaging is the Power Block Aqua Sun Gel. They're both SPF 50. The white one has 4 PA pluses and the teal one has 3 PA pluses. They are similar but different texture, but the names are just very, very close, so you gotta really pay attention when you're buying stuff. This feels more creamy than this one. It does have fragrance in it. It looks like all of these do, unfortunately. So that's kind of it for my exclusive like face sunscreens. For body sunscreens, I only have a couple really. If I have like a heavy sun day, I'm gonna be outside all day, my skin's gonna be exposed, this is the latest sunscreen that I have. This is a chemical one. It applies pretty nicely for a sunscreen that you can get in the drugstore or a lot of different locations. It does have avobenzone, octocrylene, oxybenzone. It is heavily fragranced, I will say that, but it is an SPF 50, pretty lightweight. So I've enjoyed using it. Just to give you a sense of how it applies. You know, it's still pretty white. You do have to blend it in, but it's not too difficult to rub in sort of that white texture. I always prefer a lotion. I think it provides the best coverage. You just have to make sure you apply plenty and often, that you cover all the areas that are exposed. It's a little bit tacky, but it dries down nice. This is Hawaiian Tropic Island Sport. I know a lot of these sunscreens get repackaged, reformulated pretty regularly, so it can kind of be hard to track. Okay, which one did I like? Which one did I buy before? That can be kind of a challenge to get like the same sunscreen over and over. I would just kind of typically look for certain keywords. You want to look for the number. Is it UVA or UVB? Especially in the US, we like to say that it covers both spectrums. And I would try to get a sense of what the texture's like. This says ultra light. You want to look for something like that. You might want to look for waterproof if you're going in the water. Does it have fragrance in them? In the formulation, most of them do, but you just want to look for like non-comedogenic, things like that, keywords that you want to look for. I also have a Trader Joe's spray sunscreen. I think this is a couple years old. It actually expires in July. So I've had it for some time. This is also a chemical sunscreen, but it's SPF 50, it's water resistant. Contains aloe and vitamin E, UVA, UVB protection. I don't love these sprays. I think they're convenient to avoid some of that like tons of lotion application. I think it can be faster, but you still need to rub them in. I'll just show you. They're just very liquidy. I don't know. Some people like these. I just don't think, I think you have to spray a lot to give yourself the amount of coverage they need, because a lot of this is air, and I don't know, I just think you use it really fast. So I don't think it's quite worth the money. Whatever you have on hand is what you're gonna use. I do have a Asian Beauty larger size sunscreen that I have used on my body before. This is from Kose. They have a lot of different products. They make shampoos, and you might be able to find this brand Kose at some Asian supermarkets. I'm not sure if they always have sunscreen available, but this is Suncut, and it's SPF 50 for PA pluses. I don't have a lot of information I just liked it because it was bigger and it had a pump, and this is good again for your exposed areas of your body like your neck, your arms, that you don't want to waste your facial sunscreen on. I think it's still a really nice texture. It just blends in really easy, and you don't need to spend a long time rubbing it in. That's what I like about it. It's easy to put on, easy to apply. So I'm a fan of this one, a sunscreen that does not have any fragrance to it. And I've heard about this sunscreen from a YouTuber dermatologist, Dr. J, and she is all about sunscreens. And she told me, she mentioned this in her video, if you're, you know, really don't want anything in your sunscreen, it's free of dyes, fragrance, masking fragrance, lanolin, parabens, formaldehyde, and other preservatives. And this brand is for like people with problematic skin, like I think if you have eczema or psoriasis, things like that, this is a good option for you. It is a physical sunscreen, but that isn't to say that all physical sunscreens are like not going to irritate you or give you a rash or anything like that. People certainly have their irritations to physical and chemical sunscreen, so it really just depends on the formula. So I wanted to like this, right, in theory. This is 4 ounces. I think this was a little bit pricey, to be honest. I think I got it at Walgreens, and this is titanium dioxide, zinc oxide formula. It says don't use on damaged or broken skin, keep out of your eyes, apply liberally 15 minutes before sun exposure, reapply after 80 minutes of swimming or sweating, immediately after towel drying, at least every 2 hours. It does say it contains C20 through 40 alcohols. I don't know what these other things are. The list isn't very long though. I just want to show you how this is to apply. To me, it's a bit of a nightmare. Like, this is my sunscreen nightmare in a bottle, and this is why a lot of people hate sunscreen. It's just very thick and very white, and sure, you can spread it around, you can try your best to make sure all that white cast goes away. I just personally hate it. I think it's really thick and sticky. And I remember having lotion on my skin, and then, or my skin was slightly damp, and I tried to spread this around and it just wasn't spreading at all. I just think this formulation's a bit odd. It doesn't smell though, which is nice. It's just very thick and I feel oily. So I'm not a fan of this. I mean, it did apply better than I remember it applying for some reason. But I mean, it promises no sensitizing chemical sunscreen. It says non-comedogenic. I don't know. I'm feeling a lot of layers of oil on my skin. It just doesn't feel pleasant, and I think I was just very sticky with this one. If any of you love this, swear by it, let me know how you apply it. Maybe it's just not meant for me. I'm not a fan of this. There's nothing really wrong with it, technically, right? But it's all about those little subtleties and texture preferences, which determines whether or not we're going to use something. So that's that. Stick sunscreen. So this is from MD Solar Sciences. This is a 40 SPF mineral sunscreen stick. UVA, UVB protection. Has titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. It's oil free, won't clog pores, Water resistant up to 80 minutes, fragrance free. This one I like for the convenience and the small size. Like you could throw this in your purse if you want to apply something really quick to your face or even like your arms or whatever. I find this formula to be a bit oily and sticky as well. It's just a little bit greasy film on your skin. It's not the best. But if you're in a pinch, I think sticks make sense. I think this one was a little bit expensive though. I think I would prefer to spend less money on such a tiny product that's half an ounce. But I think for convenience sake, I think this sort of thing makes sense, especially if you're on the go. You know, last resort, I don't have anything else, you're gonna use this. I've let a friend borrow this because he had no sunscreen on and he just put it on his arms. I'm like, yeah, I have some. So that kind of stuff, like purse size things, I think they're not always great. They're not going to give you a lot of product, but when you're in a pinch, it's better than nothing, right? So makeup sunscreens. I wouldn't rely on makeup sunscreens just as a general statement. They're fine to layer over your real sunscreen that you're gonna put on your face. I wouldn't like just keep reapplying this all day. For one, your face is gonna look funny if you just keep applying coverage. But two, it's just there's not enough in here, and usually we're applying a light layer and we're not really applying the amount you need for sunscreen. Like if you saw me apply how much I was applying of sunscreen of, you know, foundation, that's a little crazy, right? So you're just not getting the amount of product that you need from these, you know, from makeup in general. So a lot of tinted moisturizers, CC creams, a lot of them include sunscreen because this is supposed to be like an all-around product. It's good for your skin, it moisturizes, but it also provides coverage and also protection. That's what's great about these. I just wouldn't rely on the SPF in here and say, oh yeah, I put this on, I'm good to go, it's good enough. Not really. Yeah, I would put on a real sunscreen first. That's why it's important to find one that works well under makeup, that you like to apply, that doesn't break you out. It's gonna be a challenge. I know for a lot of you, it's gonna be trial and error for sure. But I think it's worthwhile. It's really gonna help prevent a lot of, you know, premature aging, pigmentation. It really helps with that for sure. Especially if you're using acids, exfoliators that, you know, remove layers of the skin, you're gonna be more sensitive to the sun. There's also a lot of foundations nowadays with SPF in them. This is the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation, and this has an SPF of 30. It looks like a mix of chemical and physical. It has octinoxate and titanium dioxide in it. I know some people do not like foundations with sunscreen in them because they think the sunscreen breaks them out. That may be true. I would really test that out though. You can't apply enough of this to really get the amount of sunscreen that you need, and it doesn't make sense for you to reapply your full face of foundation throughout the day. Another category that I think is interesting, and that really, if you wear makeup through the day and you can't really apply sunscreen after you apply makeup, I think powders are a good alternative. They're not perfect though. So Bare Minerals, the matte foundation, has SPF 15 in the powder. So if you wanted to retouch out the touch up throughout the day and you're concerned about continuing to protect your skin from the sun, try a powder with SPF in it. You'll just need to take a little brush with you wherever you go, put it on. It's not going to be the greatest amount of coverage. It's better than nothing. If you're really gonna be out in the sun all day, I would wear a makeup that you don't mind putting sunscreen over, or just don't wear makeup at all. If you apply something like this and it disappears on your skin throughout the day, you feel fine putting something on top of it like a sunscreen, you can do that. But if you're really in the sun all day and you're swimming, doing outdoor activities, I really don't recommend makeup. I recommend having skin that you can reapply sunscreen over and over and over again, especially you're getting in and out of the water. It's just gonna be way easier for you. You're not gonna have to worry about what you look like. This crazy cake face with this goopy stuff on top. It's gonna look weird, right? So that's what I recommend. There's also more heavy duty SPF powders available, and they're kind of in this sort of format where you have this like container of powder and then there's a brush attached to it. Oh, that didn't sound good. So like this, so you essentially just swirl and the powder comes out. And to me, you're probably gonna have to apply quite a bit to get a real SPF 30 like this one states, but at least you're getting something. And if you touch up with powder anyway throughout the day, having an SPF will give you some peace of mind. This is from Derma E Essentials. It's mineral powder, SPF 30. There's 4 grams of product in here. It says apply liberally 15 minutes before sun exposure. Has titanium dioxide, zinc dioxide. But yeah, there's a lot of brands that have this sort of format of SPF. I think it's an interesting option. If you don't like the brush on it, you could certainly try to apply it with this brush, kind of swirl it around, put it on. And that works too. Just to give you a little something extra, a little barrier between you and the sun. Not a bad idea. Is it perfect? No, but if that's gonna help you like block the sun, I don't see anything wrong with it. And then as far as like lip care, I think it's good to have just a clear basic SPF in your lip balm. This is Sun Balm. This is a broad spectrum SPF 30 with aloe and vitamin E. I'm not sure if this, I don't know that this is really a physical sunscreen because it's so clear, right? Just a clear balm. Smells like watermelon. I know they have some lip balms that are white, and when you put them on, it makes your lips like bright pink. And I think those are really the mineral sunscreens because they're physical UV blockers, and they're giving you that white protection to bounce the sun off. So those look a little funny, but if you're really all about physical sunscreen, you might want a lip balm like that. So that's kind of the spectrum of full face and body sunscreens that I have right now. I just kind of wanted to show you the differences in textures and ingredients to help you make a decision and show you what's kind of available out there. I know that there's even more beyond what I've shown you. I know that there's sunscreen mousses, which I'm really curious about. I would like to try something like that just to see what the finish is like and how easy it is to blend out, how much coverage it provides. I'd be curious to try something like that. I think sunscreen gets a bad reputation because a lot of people think it breaks them out, and that's certainly a possibility, especially under makeup. They just don't like what it does to their skin. But I think a big part of that is making sure we remove our sunscreens properly. And if you're wearing makeup, you should be using an oil cleanser first, something with oil in it to remove that makeup. And if you're not wearing makeup and you're just wearing sunscreen, I also recommend you use an oil cleanser to fully remove your sunscreen. I think it's important that you just don't use just a regular cleanser. This goes for guys too, to remove your sunscreen, because you may not really be removing all of it, and then you're just piling it on every day and adding to those layers that were never fully removed. Because sunscreen likes to attach a nice film to your face, and if you don't break that down with oil, I think that leads to some clogging and some congestion issues. So I recommend using an oil cleanser every day, as hopefully you're using sunscreen every day, even if you're not wearing makeup, just to make sure it's all removed. I like Jordan Samuel, the Aftershow Treatment Cleanser. This is like a gel-like balm. when you rub it together, it turns into a nice oil. You massage it in really, really well, and then you can remove it with like a damp microfiber cloth, or you can just use water, and it turns into, it emulsifies into like a nice milky solution that really does a good job of removing everything. I also have a traditional oil cleanser. It's liquid, and this is from Holika. I don't have a ton of information on it, but I know it works really well. If you like a liquid oil cleanser, this is gonna do the trick for makeup and sunscreen. It's not super thick, but it's not super thin. It's right in the middle. It's pretty cost effective, and you can get it on these Asian beauty websites. So I think I've talked to your ear off on sunscreens and the different kinds of formulations out there. I hope this informed you. Some pretty cool textures, some more pleasant textures than maybe you've already tried. I would do a little experimenting if I were you. If you haven't tried any of these like gels or essences or creams that are available. At the end of the day, if you don't have any sunscreen available nearby, what's always good is a hat. A nice wide brim hat. It could be one that doesn't have any holes in it. This has a little bit of holes in it, so lets the sun in a little bit. But one that has a fabric that's solid, covers your head all the way around. Big sunglasses are gonna help. I mean, anything that you can do to help yourself get out of the sun is ideal. I know some of us can't wait for the summer because we've been into the winter months for so long, but it's really not great for your skin. It's not great if you want to like preserve your face, if you want to stay young as long as possible, stay out of the sun. Can't emphasize that enough. I think it's up to us to make that cultural change to make sun protection more acceptable, cool, and just part of our daily lives. So let's start wearing hats. I know we already wear sunglasses, but hey, let's make that parasol trend cool, right? Alright guys, that is enough lecturing from me. I hope you learned something. Please let me know if you have any questions, concerns. Click like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.